All right, let's go back to our leading story now and welcome our reporter Samkele Maseko, who's joining us live from Johannesburg. This is where, of course, the ANC just a short while ago responded to the DA's ultimatum that was, of course, given to President Cyril Ramaphosa in relation to his axing of its MP Whitfield. So, Samkele, a very good afternoon to you. So, what have you got with us? We know you've been firmly watching and engaging with the ANC camp regarding, of course, the ultimatum on Ramaphosa, which they have since backtracked from. So now they're announcing they will not be participating in the national dialogue. So what conversations are currently taking place among the ANC heavyweights as we speak right now, Samkele?
Well, there's no meeting of ANC heavyweights as we speak currently. The ANC spokesperson, Mrs. Mahlengu Mutsiri, was monitoring the briefing of the Democratic Alliance. She was in communication with some ANC officials on this particular pending or briefing of the Democratic Alliance that has happened. There were three scenarios that the ANC was waiting for. One was that the Democratic Alliance would walk away from the government of national unity. That did not happen. Two was a motion of no confidence against President Ramaphosa. That did not happen, though the DA is threatening to put a motion of no confidence in the foreseeable future. The third one was the DA pulling up files of ministers in the government of national unity of the ANC that have traveled abroad without the pre-approval of the president to travel abroad. That also did not suffice. So essentially, none of the three scenarios that the ANC was anticipating actually pulled through from the Democratic Alliance, which made the ANC and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa not traveling to Spain on his official working visit. Essentially, the Democratic Alliance, in the words of the ANC, was a gimmick and games from the Democratic Alliance. They fell short of saying that the DA was simply wasting time of South Africans and essentially delaying the president from his international obligations of representing the president. Hence, the president respected the DA enough to stay put in the country, not travel to Spain, particularly noting that South Africa has the presidency of the G20. So the ANC pretty much sees the Democratic Alliance as kowtowing out of a threat of 48 hours of them walking out of the GNU should the president not reinstate the Deputy Minister of Trade and Competition, Minister Whitfield. But essentially, what is more embarrassing for the Democratic Alliance is that they are also fielding a name to represent Deputy Minister Whitfield, despite also saying they will not vote for ANC-headed ministries that are of corrupt leaders, such as Thembisi Melani. You go to Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane over that saga of the seaters and the chairpersons. Also, I saw a poster that includes Kumbuzo Nchaveni, the minister in the presidency. I saw that picture also included Deputy President Paul Shipokosa Mashatile as well, with the controversy around him and the lottery deal that is seemingly clouded by his so-called close associates or friends. But the ANC pretty much saying that this was essentially a waste of time by the Democratic Alliance in these gimmicks that they continue playing in the government of national unity. Even DA members and strongholds on the social networks are saying, what the heck is the Democratic Alliance doing when it comes to these particular negotiations? But from a layman's person who has been observing political terms over the course of the years, one can certainly say without a shadow of doubt that the Democratic Alliance, FedEx, is heavily divided on whether the DA should move out of the government of national unity or the DA should stay in. But as people say, once you've tasted state power, it is not easy to let go of it.
You know, Samkele, you asked a very pertinent question during that press briefing, and I'd like us to just go back to it once again as to why can't the ANC then come out and be decisive as a leader of this coalition and decide to remove the DA and look elsewhere to form their coalition partners? What was your response there?
That particular issue of coalition is very much debated. The ANC says this is not a coalition between the ANC and the DA, which when you look at it with the signatories of the statement of intent, there is a plethora of political parties within this government of national unity. So the termination coalition is very much highly contested. It is a terminology that the DA uses, saying that this is a marriage particularly of them and the African National Congress. But the ANC has not held a National Executive Committee of late. Particularly, they didn't have an NEC after the budget process that was repeated about 3 times. They've not held that National Executive Committee. It's effectively postponed. They are holding an NEC later on in mid-July that will ventilate many of these particular issues that are being mooted by the DA. We do know that the Youth League has effectively pushed that the DA must leave. because they've defined themselves outside of the government of national unity. There are members of the National Executive Committee who are also pushing for the ANC to take that punitive measure of the kicking out the DA out of the government of national unity. But there is also a view that you should not, in the words of the president, in that leaked audio of the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa engaging with the party's caucus, that you must not disturb your opposition when it's making a grave mistake. You must let them make their mistake, and then you take action. So that is the viewpoint of the president of the African National Congress, Cyril Ramaphosa. But we are also told by a very birdie that he also has a view that if there's a motion of no confidence against him by the DA is effectively collapsing the government of national unity, and that would mean they are defining themselves outside of it, and the ANC would then need to start a process of engaging other political formations. You do know that the young man from Sishiko, who's not so young anymore, he is literally at the doorstep with one foot in and just waiting for the other foot to be let in if the DA and the Freedom Front Plus leave. So there are many people waiting at the doorstep to enter the government of national unity. Even Herman Mashaba himself has said that he is readily available to be called upon to serve once again.
All right. Thank you so much to SABC News senior reporter there, Samkele Maseko, is joining us live from Luthuli House there.